We're live. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Mom.
How are you today?
Great.
It is a rainy day outside. Well, maybe we'll get tens and tens of viewers because it's raining.
Maybe. Right now we have 0, so
We have zero right now. Well, you know what time it is.
I do.
Although this time is going to change, and I'm not going to say it now because there's nobody watching. So what's the use
Oh,
of
there's one
saying it?
person. They
But
must have,
the
by
time
mistake, somebody pressed the button by accident.
somebody watched this by accident. Maybe it's your father. Well, guess what time it is?
What time is it?
Time for the right stuff. I like
What?
I like where you do this in the clip because it goes like with the keyboards.
Am I supposed to be looking at you or the camera?
You
Right now
look
I'm looking at
wherever
you.
you like because
Okay.
either way you're beautiful. So it doesn't matter. Look wherever you like. Oh, well, we have somebody online. Lucille is here. Hi, you fabulous ladies. And hi to you, Lucille. Jen's getting that apartment ready. So it's going to be good. You're going
I
to be
have
able
to
to
paint
hang
this
out.
wall first.
Well, if it ever stops raining, you can sit.
And the other one doesn't paint, so it's the one thing.
All right, so today's show, Jen, I thought it would be pretty cool for today that we talk about. Oh, wait, Lucille, I'm so happy for you. She's so happy for you. I am too, Lucille.
You're happy too for yourself because you're gonna have a patio.
Yeah.
Everyone thought it was a great idea. I'm like, sure. I lose the whole view of the water and the bridge, and now I get to see everyone in a pool. It's gonna wind up being all the drunken pirates that live here all hanging out at my place now. I'm gonna have to move again.
Well, listen, it could spark a whole new show. It could make
patio talk.
Patio talk. That's right, and I would love to hear their take on the news of the week.
Well, I'm talking to Eric again. We're friends again, so.
Oh, you know what, Jen? You've got to once a week. You've got to ask a question and videotape it so we can play it on the show. Lucille
you wouldn't even be able to understand them when they're. I don't even know what goes on.
Well, we have a lot of clips today because I've been in politics for a lot of years, and so is Jen. And what always strikes me is when we're coming up on midterm elections or presidential elections, you notice that a lot of hyperbole starts to fling around. And usually the issues are abortion, the economy, and now the Democrats have created the January 6th insurrection, fairy tale. And so we thought today that we would talk about what's going on in Washington, D.C., because it doesn't matter what side you're on, Democrat, Republican, it matters not. They're all playing games, and they're all, trying to keep themselves in office.
Of course.
Your grandma is on.
Your mother's here.
And my
Hello,
mother
grandmother. I haven't even called her because I feel like I talked to her. I got a call. I thought about that today.
Because of the show, you feel like you talk to her and you see her. Well, that's good. Then something good is coming out of the show for our tens and tens of viewers.
And wet, and I never changed my shirt. I just realized.
Jen has had a difficult morning this morning. So, well, at any rate, by now everybody. What?
I got new shoes.
Show everybody the new shoes.
These shoes. They're for, I have something to do tonight, but I got Michael Kors shoes. But these are the ones I'll be wearing if I get the hell out of the house today.
Okay. And tell them where you got them.
Macy's. They were $150. I thought they were going to be $300 when I got to the register. These were $43, and these were $50 something. So I got both pairs of Michael Kors heels.
Plug for Macy's. If you're a
terrible, you could tell the
smart shopper, you can
didn't even start things. All right, anyway.
Lucille says your shoes are to die for.
Die for. I love them. I can't wait to wear them later.
Well, I think that they're fantastic and I love them too. So, at any rate, you heard, I'm sure, about the leaked documents out of the Supreme Court about abortion. And there's a case, a Mississippi case, because Mississippi is trying to restrict abortions in that state to 15 weeks and under. And so it's in front of the U.S. Supreme Court because Planned Parenthood and other abortion activists are saying that you should be able to have abortion on demand, like in New York, where you could actually kill the baby right after it's born at 9 months old. And
What?
you know,
Where did you get
it's
that
just
information from?
what's that?
You what? No, you can't.
I mean, not 9 months old. I'm sorry, 9 months gestation. Yes, you can. Absolutely. You can have an abortion up until the baby is born in New York. It's infanticide.
Stop it. Did you Google that?
I didn't have to Google it. There was a whole production when Cuomo in 2018 they signed it into law, and it's late term abortion. It doesn't matter. Abortion on demand. It doesn't matter if the baby can survive outside the womb. And Jen, if the baby if the abortion doesn't work on the baby and the baby lives, you are not allowed to medically treat the baby to keep it alive.
What?
If the mother,
Look, this is disgusting.
absolutely, this is the insanity of the abortion issue, which started in the 1970s, and then Roe v. Wade became the landmark decision that said that it's not illegal for women to have abortions. And so and that is all about Planned Parenthood and Margaret Sanger. And for those of you who don't know, I just want to put it out there. Margaret Sanger was a proponent of eugenics. And basically, what she believed was that Black people were inferior, that children with Down syndrome or any other problems should be exterminated. And so she created Planned Parenthood with this in mind. And anybody who reads history understands that FDR and Margaret Sanger and Hitler, they all were kind of in communication with each other. But she created Planned Parenthood to keep down the African American population and the population of disabled children. So that's why she started Planned Parenthood. And today in America, I believe that the number is 5 times more Black children are killed with abortion by abortion than white children.
So she got her. That's terrible.
5 times more. So the Sanger got her wish, and that's where we are right now. So what's going on was with the Mississippi case. The Justice Ippolito was writing the decision for the Supreme Court on the Mississippi case, saying that after 15 weeks, abortions are not allowed in Mississippi because those decisions have traditionally been state sovereign. Okay. There is no right to abortion in our Constitution or our Bill of Rights. It was a decision, Roe v. Wade, and each state makes its own rules. So it looked like the final decision was going to go with Mississippi to say that Mississippi, as a sovereign state, could put these restrictions on abortion. So someone leaked the document, the draft document, which has never been done before in the history of the United States. No document has been issued or leaked by the Supreme Court. And now the left is going crazy because they needed the issue for the midterm elections because their numbers were in the toilet. So Merrick Garland was asked about it. Now he's the guy in control, right, of all this, of what's right and wrong and what gets prosecuted and not prosecuted. Well, he was asked about it, but he wasn't asked specifically what was going to be done about the leak because that is illegal. He was asked what he was going to do about abortion. Well, actually, watch this clip.
There's this leaked opinion leaked draft opinion by the Supreme Court that seems like justices are going to be poised to overturn Roe v. Wade. What do you make of that leaked decision, and also what avenue, if any, might the Department of Justice be looking into to impact women's access to abortion?
Okay, so that's a two-part question. On the first part, the Chief Justice has announced that he's asked the Marshal of the Court to investigate the leak, so I'm not going to have any more comment about that. On the second question, the document is not a final decision of the court, and I don't want to talk about the deliberative processes of the court, but what I will say is that the Justice Department has steadfastly been committed to defending the right to abortion. We are amicus in the Dobbs case. The Solicitor General herself argued on behalf of the United States in the Dobbs case. If the law changes, we will address appropriate next steps at that time. But what will not change is our commitment to defending the rights of women and all Americans.
Okay, so we're hearing that there's technical difficulty. I don't know if everybody is experiencing it or not. Yeah, I got feedback from somebody else privately that there's a bad echo. Hopefully it's not. I turned down my speaker. Jennifer, maybe turn down your speaker a little bit and see if that fixes the problem. But I think what we see here is that Garland's concern was more about whether, abortion would stay legal than it was that there was a leaked document in the Supreme Court. And I mean, it's as if we, we don't care. Angela, all right. Lucille Chavon says we have no problem. Angela Ricka says she hears me clear.
Oh, great. Grandma went deaf. That has to be it, because this is a very expensively productive podcast. No mistakes.
No mistakes. We have a production crew of 0. And we have really expensive equipment.
You must have gone deaf.
That must be it, because Daddy says he's getting an echo. Grandma's saying that she can't hear me, and as
we can sign language the whole show. The same amount of viewers.
We need to get one of those little. We're getting Tiffany in the corner.
Oh, your mouth and your sound are not together.
Oh, they're not. That's what she's saying. My mouth and my sound are not together.
Thank God.
Oh, you mean there's a lag, Mom? That means that your internet is probably not good. So that's the problem there, or mine, but mine is showing full. All right. Well, anyway, so once again, abortion becomes the issue to get the left to get women out to vote.
Meanwhile, they're all for your body, your choice. But when it comes to the vaccination, everyone has to get it. No one has a choice. It's mandated, right. And it's not your body, your choice.
That's right. That's right. I have a clip of Cory Booker, who must double as a minister, and he's near tears, talking about the abortion issue. And I want everybody to listen closely as he tells all the left to organize, because right now they leaked all of the personal information of all the Supreme Court justices, and they're planning to go protest in front of their homes because the draft decision looked like it was 6-3. And so it was going to pass. So listen to Cory Booker talk about abortion. This is amazing.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it's won. That is Ella's song by Sweet Honey in the Rock, a tribute to Ella Baker, the great freedom fighter and civil rights activist. I lean on it this morning for strength as we all face the reality of a leaked opinion from the Supreme Court that makes it clear, perhaps certain, that the Supreme Court intends to uphold abortion bans that will effectively ban abortion in the majority of American states. This is an outrage, an assault on freedom and liberty by people who cannot credibly say they are about life because they will not join the efforts to truly empower women and preserve life. It's a trashing of almost 50 years of the law of Roe. It is creating an America that does not affirm and empower women, but strips power away from them and disempowers them. It doesn't end abortion. It ends access to safe abortions for millions of women. And so what will we do? Will we curl up, shut up, give up? No, we will rise up, speak up, get up, stand up. This is the moment where we affirm that this decision that the majority of Americans disagree with, that we affirm that the power of the people is greater than the people in power. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. Now, let us be activated, not agonized, but organized. Let us bring forth the true values of freedom, of liberty, and justice through our labors. May we be inspired by those who came before us, who never gave up. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it is won.
Okay, well, Jennifer is Jennifer apparently decided that clip was just too much for her. And she's gone. So let's see if we can get her back.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you have no picture. Hit the camera at the now we have no audio. Hit the camera, Jen. Hit the camera. Yeah, Angela Ricca, hallelujah. Absolutely. It's amazing to me that all of a sudden the Dems understand what a woman is. They're not calling them birthing people anymore. They're calling them women, and they're getting all up in arms over Mississippi saying that after 15 weeks you can't have an abortion. The states are sovereign. That's what our founding fathers wanted when they created the Constitution. They did not want an all-powerful federal government, and it is the best form of government that there is in the world right now, because states are sovereign and they can make their own laws. This is the Democrats once again using the issue to try and win the midterm elections because they know that their numbers are in the toilet. But just an FYI, it's not just the Democrats that use it. The Republicans do too. I mean, the Washington elite have been doing this forever, both sides of the aisle. In 2003, President Bush, his numbers were in the toilet, and he signed the late-term abortion ban into law, and then it became an issue in the 2004 elections, and it actually catapulted him to victory, because otherwise he would have probably lost. But here's John Kerry talking about abortion. John Kerry, the Catholic, who sounds very much like Cory Booker. Watch this clip.
Senator Kerry, suppose you were speaking with a voter who believed abortion is murder, and the voter asked for reassurance that his or her tax dollars would not go to support abortion. What would you say to that person?
I would say to that person exactly what I will say to you right now. First of all, I cannot tell you how deeply I respect the belief about life and when it begins. I'm a Catholic, raised a Catholic. I was an altar boy. Religion has been a huge part of my life, helped lead me through a war, leads me today. But I can't take what is an article of faith for me and legislate it for someone who doesn't share that article of faith, whether they be agnostic, atheist, Jew, Protestant, whatever. I can't do that. But I can counsel people. I can talk reasonably about life and about responsibility. I can talk to people, as my wife Teresa does, about making other choices and about abstinence and about all these other things that we ought to do as a responsible society. But as a president, I have to represent all the people in the nation, and I have to make that judgment. Now, I believe that that you can take that position and not be pro-abortion, but you have to afford people their constitutional rights. And that means being smart about allowing people to be fully educated, to know what their options are in life, and making certain that you don't deny a poor person the right to be able to have whatever the Constitution affords them if they can't afford it otherwise.
Well, Jen is still trying to figure out her video.
Yeah, it's not working.
Oh, her audio is on, but she can't find her video.
Yeah, it says it's working properly.
Did it switch? Go back in and see if that's integrated video, and go in settings and say.
I did.
You went in settings and saw, and your stop cam is not hit. Go into settings and move it back to
Settings in here.
Settings in here, right at the bottom.
Yeah, it did.
And it says USB.
Now it does.
Okay, there you go.
You know, guys, really? You couldn't figure this out? You're all fired. All 0 of you. You can't find help anymore. This is what happens when you get interns.
Well, Kim Salvo's comment, TGIF ladies crazy crap week for sure is certainly you
told me I wasn't allowed to touch the settings in here.
No. Well, last week, the production quality was horrible because, I don't want to bore you guys. Well, anyway, did you hear Carrie? Lucille says, Mommy knows best, and she is absolutely right. But did you hear Carrie saying that the Constitution affords you the right to an abortion? It does not. It does not afford you the right to an abortion. It also doesn't afford you the right to watch television in your boxer shorts or sleep on the streets or many other things. But the Constitution is silent to these things, and we have to be careful about what we know to be true. The states decide those laws, and they should decide those laws. Because once you start having federal laws for everybody, then what you do is you have the tail wagging the dog, which is one entity making decisions for everybody. And we certainly don't want that to happen. We certainly don't want that to happen, but others do. But at any rate, so you saw that both the Republicans and the Democrats use it. So here's another instance of the tail wagging the dog. Now we move to the economy, right? We know we're in a crap economy. We know that we're paying almost $5 for gas, and everything has gone up enormously. And now we have AOC talking to some corporate presidents and corporations leadership about trying to change the message from Biden refusing to release let us drill for oil and Biden just screwing up the economy. They're trying to change the message and talk about corporate greed causing everything to go up. Yeah. Kim Salvo says, by the way, happy Mother's Day to all. Happy Mother's Day to you, Kim. So Jen, I mean, she was a bartender, from the Bronx, from Queens.
There's nothing wrong with being a bartender.
But now she's telling major corporations how to run their corporations and make money. Watch this. This one is really interesting. Watch this.
What's the market share? What is the current market share of the 4 largest companies in the meat processing industry?
The 4 largest companies account for just over 50%, so about 53% of the meat processing industry.
53% of all meat processing in the United States is handled by 4 companies. I've got a visual right here so people understand. We've got JBS, Tyson, Cargill, and Smithfield. And when you go to the supermarket, no matter where you are in the United States, it boils down to pretty much 4 companies. When 4 companies control almost 60% of an industry, the normal supply-demand curve doesn't really set the price, does it?
It does not.
So this whole idea of free markets and supply and demand and all of these things, that our prices are fair and price hikes are just the result of just completely natural, competitive environment, that starts to fall away when the U.S. economy transforms into an oligopoly. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
These are assertions of an actual free market with true competition. But when 4 companies run the show, we don't really have perfect competition, far from it, in our markets. When you look at the major areas and markets in the United States, 4 companies leading 53%, responsible for 53% of meat processing, this is a cartel. 80% of soybean processors, that's a cartel. 73% of beef processors, 4 companies, that's a cartel. And it may not be right in terms of the definition of the Sherman Act, but when we talk about that level of market consolidation, it may not be explicit. There may not be a written piece of paper saying we're going to set wages lower or set prices higher, but we all know what's going on here.
I'll tell you a secret. Most people don't really know what capitalism is. Most people don't even know what socialism is. But most people are not capitalists because they don't have capitalist money. They're not billionaires. I'll tell you a secret. AOC's a complete asshole.
So now listen, I'm not going to say that she's wrong on theory, but who's supposed to decide what price is going to be set? Who, the government? Then what happens when the government decides to set the price?
It's not even that, it's not even that people are raising their prices. They don't even have stuff to raise their prices with. I went into Macy's, there was 2 pairs of stockings. Literally, everything was empty. You go into CVS, there's nothing. There's zero. You can't get anything anymore. So they don't even have products to raise the prices with.
Yeah.
So
how come? How come?
Exactly, because of gas prices. I'm sorry, but who runs that?
well, think about that. And not only that, but we've screwed ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. We have all said that our children should all go to college, like AOC, like Ilhan Omar, like all these other, people who you see on Twitter and on social media that know everything, these young kids. Okay, none of them work with their hands. None of them can balance a checkbook. You ask a kid to write a check or balance a checkbook, and they'll look at you like you have 3 heads. Those penny things in the delis, put your pennies here, kids don't decided that change is not necessary. Actually, kids are deciding that money is not necessary. Now we have, cryptocurrency. So we're not teaching our kids the art of adulting.
And look at the 25-year-old. She in my office. I love her to death. Thank God she's stunning, but she couldn't address an envelope. She had to look it up on Etsy. That was the best. I love her for it.
Exactly.
And she has a child. She's very smart. Very smart. She can run a computer, but she couldn't address an envelope.
Well, AOC sounded great. Oligopoly? Holy moly. If you watch my brain bled when I watched the whole interrogation. But she had some $10 words in there, and that's all great. But it's theory. They never created a job. They never, she worked as a bartender, and I'll give her props for that. I was a bartender. I owned a restaurant. I owned a bar. You need to do that stuff. But you're going to tell mega corporations that She's going to now try to readjust the narrative of the recession and blame it on the corporations so that her 12 million followers think that it's corporate greed that's causing the prices to rise and not, economics 101, which
I would love
Biden
to
does not get.
find out how much Amazon she gets to her house. I'm sure she orders from there.
Oh, she does. I guess that's why President Joe is always whispering that he is a capitalist, as if. That's right, Kim, as if. So, she wants somebody else to set the prices. And I'm going to guess that somebody else is going to be Washington, because in their opinion, Washington is the only entity that we can trust, the only entity that has our best interest at heart, not churches, not our community, not ourselves. Washington, because they're all really, really smart, because they use words like oligopoly.
The president makes in his pants.
The president makes it his pants, is right. So you want to know what money is being spent from Washington? Well, some of the squad, including AOC, made videos for this upcoming election year. Let's see what money Ilhan Omar is spending, or what she has. She had to make a video about her accomplishments. Let's see some of the accomplishments she's claiming for the people of Minnesota. Watch this.
I know this is an election year and we are about to start our re-election campaign, and we thought it might be fun to look back at the last 3 years and try this challenge where progressive leaders share everything they have gotten done in under 2 minutes. In 2016, over 360,000 people voted in Minnesota's 5th, and in 2020, we increased that with 40,000 more votes, with over 400,000 people voting here in the 5th for the first time ever. We were one of the first campaigns to invest in deep canvassing program in non-election year, and we knocked on every single door in low turnout areas of our district. My bill to help end corruption in our elections by mandating more accountability and transparency for those lobbying on behalf of foreign governments passed the House. The Combating International Islamophobia Act, my bill to create an international envoy to address global Islamophobia at the State Department, passed the House. We passed amendments to force the military to produce a cost-benefit analysis on the use of military bases overseas, require DoD contracts to report human rights violations, and to prohibit the use of any funds to establish permanent military base in Somalia. We helped secure legal protection for Liberian refugees and immigrants living in Minnesota who were facing risk of deportation through the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act. We worked to secure significant debt relief and increased U.S. aid for Somalia. We brought home $2.6 trillion in federal money for our district, $13.5 million in community development block grants to help Minneapolis rebuild from the unrest after the tragic murder of George Floyd.
I'll tell you another secret. She's also an asshole.
So let's get this right. They've increased voting in the district, right? So that's a big deal. They're using our tax dollars to make sure that people vote Democrat in the district. And this is that was her first lead-off accomplishment. And everything else was Somalia, Libya, out of. What about the people in Minnesota? Oh, no. We brought home money so that you could rebuild after we allowed everybody to burn the freaking place down because of George Floyd, who was a criminal. He should have never gotten killed that way, but they allowed everybody to burn the place down and said shit about it.
You have an aneurysm. Calm down.
But you know what? They don't want prices to be raised. You can't raise prices. It's unfair to do that. But in order to give everybody in the free world money, what has to get raised?
Taxes. So, but who's going to pay them? Who's going to pay them? So they're talking about corporate greed and, the big corporations and everything else. Well, guess what, my friends? The big corporations employ the people who pay the taxes. And if I hear one more time how corporations pay zero tax, bullshit. Bullshit, because I'm a corporation, you're a corporation, we're
quarterly, and I file taxes every day.
And we all file taxes, but we also pay employees. And that's tax money, and that money goes back into the economy. So what do they want? They want all the poor people to get all the free money. They want money to go overseas. She was after the Department of Defense, and she wants open and fair elections. Not for that you have to show your voter ID when you go to vote. Oh, no. But so that foreign money is not in elections. And I agree with that 100%. But where is the voter ID? Where is making sure that the people that vote are the people who they say they are? And
it's recognition. All you got to do when you use your phone, I get into my bank, I show my face. That's all it needs to be. Face, and now they're fighting the best is AOC and all them with in New York. The rent, the rent stabilized. Like I live in Irby, it is rent stabilized. They did raise my rent already of 2%. If I did a 2-year lease now, and it's 1%. But they're complaining that if you sign a 1-year lease, it's going up 2 to 4%. If you do a 2-year lease, it could go up from 3 to 4% or 6%.
Right.
But for 22 months, there was the rent. I always say it wrong. How do you say it? When you didn't have to pay the rent.
Right. It was rent.
No one got paid. These landlords didn't get paid for 2 years. They got free money that they could have put away to pay this rent, but they're complaining. So how are you? Then you're going to complain when it doesn't get raised and the building's falling down.
And that's exactly it. Economics 101. Brenda Black joined us. Hi, Brenda. We always love having you. And she's laughing at your whispering.
I got to go in about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Lorraine Polly says the middle class. That's right. I mean, the middle class is who is going to pay.
There is no middle class anymore.
Well, there is the middle class. The people who we've gotten to a point now that if you work and pay your taxes, you must be insane, because we got people walking over the border and they walk in and they get money and they get health care and we've got student loans, free money for dreamers. We've got all this stuff going to outside entities because America is so horrible.
But when it's so horrible, why do they want to come here?
Well, because it's not
free money.
And these idiots, again, so this is what she is using our money for. And AOC wants to be the one to set the prices. No, thank you very much. No, this is a free market. America is a capitalist nation. And no, you don't have to be a billionaire to be a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. You're a capitalist. And you know what? Is all you have to do is have an idea and a business plan and belief in yourself, and you'll go out there and you become the fabric of what is America. And these assholes don't get it.
Well, sort of. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, like AOC raised millions and millions of dollars so that her campaign can go and she can win. So she took money from people for donations, millions. How much? So that's capitalizing. Capitalized.
Yeah, but again, that was the cabal. They plucked AOC, Max Rose, Ilhan Omar, the other one there, Tlaib, out of obscurity, and the Dems backed them with millions and millions of dollars, and the money came from special interest groups, and they could say it all they want that they want to keep special interest groups out of. But all of Washington owes their election to special interest groups. And so now we've got them, rejiggering the narrative on the economy. We have got them, dredging up abortion again. These are the tricks that Washington elite, both Republicans and Democrats, play on the regular citizens to get you invested in the midterm elections, or any election, by the way. But this is what they do, and they pit us against each other. And we can't now talk about, the tail wagging the dog without talking about January 6th, Jen, the insurrection, the big insurrection. Listen to Cory Booker, who we saw earlier saying we have to get up, rise up, stand up, speak for our rights, speak for what we believe in. Well, listen to what he said when a bunch of people were at the Capitol to try and get to the bottom of the election fraud that was going on in 2020. Watch this.
We are here on the 1-year anniversary of one of our great nation's moments of shame. We saw a violent attack on this Capitol, ignited and incited by demagogues who were trying to spread a lie, telling people their votes were stolen by a president who broke with our traditions of a peaceful transfer of power and told his supporters to come to this building. And on that day, that vicious attack, we saw heroic actions by men and women who stood in the breach to try to protect the 535 members of Congress, their staffs, the people in this body that do so much good to keep this nation's traditions moving. And as a result of that conflict, lives were lost. Brian Sicknick from my state died as a result of his injuries. And the feelings of that day are still with me. I was sitting right here next to friends and colleagues as we were told to stay in our seats, as we were told that the Capitol was under attack. I watched the basic decency of people in this room as staffers came in tears and in pain, and the comforting I saw of some of my colleagues, and watching other staff members protecting historic artifacts, protecting the very boxes that would ensure that our tradition would continue, that here on this earth, a nation would be formed that values the highest ideals of humanity, that the people can come together and form amongst them a system of government. We were escorted out that door. And I think the gravity of it really hit me when we came right out that door, and one of the first things I saw was an officer down. I rushed over and said, "What happened?" And he said, I was hit. And then all along our retreat, in that ignominious moment, all along that retreat, we saw officers injured.
Yeah, here's his Grammy. Not Grammy, Academy Award.
It's Oscar. Yeah, that's what Lorraine says. Is he up for an Oscar?
I have to go. I don't want to leave.
Oh my God! But here's the thing. Where was his empathy for all the police officers who were brutally run over in the street during the Black Lives Matter riots? Where was his empathy for when we were walking over the Brooklyn Bridge and officers were thrown bottles and punched in the face? There was no empathy. And how about, so the members of Congress are responsible for keeping our nation, our highest form of of protection of human life, of sanctity of life. Oh, really? Wasn't he the guy that was just crying that we should allow abortions past 15 weeks? That we should allow, like New York, abortions right up to 9 months of gestation? Wasn't he the same guy? Doesn't he know that 5 times more Black babies are aborted than white babies? Why isn't he crying now for that? So it's just I was just gonna say that. Well, definitely say that. Jen, I know you have to go.
I have to. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But Jen, make sure tomorrow, and I'm gonna show you the clip now, everybody. Jen's gonna the show's gonna go on. She's just gonna sign off, but I'm gonna show you the clip. Thankfully, the Republicans are responding to the BS of the January 6th that they're trying to promote as insurrection. And they are responding to the quote big lie of the fraudulent 2020 election. And Dinesh D'Souza, who has brought us so many great documentaries, is premiering and has premiered already 2,000 Mules. I'm going to show you the trailer right now.
Yeah.
Jen, you can sign off while I show the trailer. Here you go, everybody.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Let me say it again.
The 2020 election was the most secure
election in American history.
Let me begin by asking a very simple question. Do we know the truth about what really happened in the 2020 election?
I think millions of Americans know something went wrong, and they have little pieces, and no one's really put it together.
I'm agnostic on this question, and I am awaiting more information.
If I believed the president were a Nazi, I might steal an election.
Bold accusations require bold evidence, and they haven't seen it.
We have been working on something big.
Show me the money.
Can we meet? I've been working with Greg Phillips. He has a deep background in election intelligence.
True the Vote has the largest store of election intelligence for the 2020 elections in the world. No one has more data than we do. We identified in Atlanta 242 mules that went to an average of 24 drop boxes. But Philadelphia alone, we've identified more than 1,100 mules.
What is a mule?
Person picking up ballots and running them to the drop boxes.
This is not grandma out walking her dog. Bad backgrounds, bad reputations. They are interested in one thing, that's money.
And in no shape, in no way, in no time is that legal.
This is organized crime.
Do you have video evidence?
4 million minutes of surveillance video around the country.
What you're about to see is disturbing.
So this is 1 o'clock in the morning.
Don't we all vote at 1 o'clock in the morning?
On one night, this person, this mule, went across 6 counties to 27 different drop boxes.
I call it the Mexican mafia, seriously, because they work like that.
This is jaw-dropping.
What you showed is frightening.
It's just sickening to me.
Now we come to the most important question of all. Was the magnitude of vote trafficking enough to tip the balance in the 2020 presidential election?
It's not a leap to say this would have made a difference.
They have ruined Election Day in the United States of America. That's provable. And that's enough for me to fight the left with every fiber in my body.
Without free and fair elections, we are not a democracy. We are a criminal cartel masquerading as a democracy.
2,000 Mules. In select theaters, May 2nd and 4th. Virtual premiere, May 7th.
So, if you haven't seen it already, it was released in select theaters on the 4th. 2,000 Mules will be released digitally tomorrow. And at least the Republicans are answering back on the January 6th, not only January 6th, but on the 2020 elections. And interestingly enough, American media has not covered it. And Dinesh D'Souza, as many of you know, started out with actually putting out documentaries about the Clintons, and he put out documentaries about Trump. And he is a conservative voice. He's on Rumble. He does have a podcast, and he's a very smart guy. He's actually had death threats from his home country because he tells the truth about government and about, especially about, communist governments and socialist governments. And he's now an American, and he's helping us to find out the truth about our government. So at least we have an answer with the Republicans with Dinesh D'Souza's 2,000 Mules. And so I hope that everybody will take a look at that. But again, it's an example of the tail wagging the dog, right? We have all this hyperbole, we have all of this skewed information that is being given to voters just in time for the midterm elections, and it's up to us to educate ourselves. And I know, most people, you put in an 8-hour day, 3 hours commuting, you have to be home for the kids, worrying about whether or not you can buy groceries or fill up your tank with gas. You don't have time to look into what's true and what's not true. And so many of us, we have our favorite news programs, and we just listen to that one side. But if you really want to see what's going on from 10,000 feet in America, I want to show you this clip of a Russian broadcast, is a news broadcast, talking about 2,000 mules. And what they do is they're actually using 2,000 mules to kind of tell the Russians that American democracy is actually slipping away. Watch this clip. It's in Russian, but there are subtitles so you can read along. It's about a minute and a half actually. So watch this.
Фальсификации во имя демократии и убийства ради мира. Американская политика широко известна своими махинациями и авантюризмом. В 2020 году состоялись самые грязные выборы за всю историю Соединенных Штатов. Во имя спасения демократии от Трампа были нарушены абсолютно все принципы этой политической системы. В ходе сговора на высшем уровне был совершен полноценный государственный переворот. Как выяснилось, голосовали за Байдена даже давно умершие американцы. Очевидно, этих призраков и благодарит человек, победивший демократию. На ноябрьских выборах фальсификации ожидаются в еще больших масштабах. Рейтинг Байдена стремится к нулю. Его мудрая политика истощила кошельки простых американцев. Стоимость электричества в США выросла за последний год в 1,5 раза, а цена бензина на треть. Обнищавшие американцы заселяют трущобы и трейлеры без колес. Многие выживают без воды, газа и электричества. Оплачивать коммунальные услуги не в состоянии больше 80 миллионов американцев, а это треть всех взрослых граждан. Наблюдая за избирательными кампаниями в США, можно с полной уверенностью утверждать, что фильм Трампа о фальсификациях станет многосерийным. В сиквелах и приквелах американской политики разбирался Андрей Сыч в главном эфире.
So you saw it. I mean, they're using the homeless sleeping on the streets, people sleeping in campers in California. They're, all because of Democrat policies, by the way. They're using that to tell the Russian people that democracy is no good and that it can't work. And so again, this is hyperbole. This is also, skewed. Truthful information skewed for the purpose of the person that's showing it. And I think that as American people, it is so important for us to sift through the garbage to try to get at the truth. And right now, what the left is trying to do, I'm not going to say Democrats, because as I said before, there are conservative Democrats out there and there are liberal Republicans. It's the left, it's the progressive that are trying to undermine the American way of life and the philosophy of what is America. And there's a bigger picture to play here. And whether it's China or Russia or other or Arab nations, our enemies are utilizing information and against us to try to tell their constituents that democracy is no good and that it doesn't work. So there's always going to be somebody who's going to grab a snippet of information and utilize it for their own benefit. And this is what happens in midterm elections in America. It's what happens in presidential elections. It happens all the time. So we went through the abortion issue, which is age old since the 70s. And we talked about the economy and how AOC and the squad are trying to skew that. And now we went through January 6th, which is their new pet pet issue that they like to tar and feather us with, us being conservatives, us being questioning, thinking constituents that want to get to the bottom of our government. And now, when all else fails, then what you have is have a good war. And that's what we're in the middle of right now. About a month ago, Biden talked about how it's folly to believe that America would get involved with the Ukraine war and that we wouldn't have any troops on the ground. Watch this clip of Biden talking about if we got involved with Ukraine, how we were going to have World War III.
Putin's war against Ukraine was never be a victory. Democrats are rising to meet the moment, rallying the world on the side of peace and security. We're showing the strength and we'll never falter. But look, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, and don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say. That's called World War III.
So he said we weren't going to get involved, which I thought was bullshit because, frankly, if NATO wants a reputation and if NATO is supposed to be strong, then we're supposed to protect countries, whether they're part of NATO or not, where you have Russia invading a country that is struggling to create a democracy. And that was always the American kind of ideal, is that we spread democracy everywhere. So human rights are upheld everywhere. And that's what we've been doing for forever. And, communists and socialists and dictators want their country to be the strongest. That's why China and Russia have teamed up. But listen to what Biden just said last week when he's asking Congress for $33 billion taxpayer dollars to fund the war in Ukraine. Watch.
In the past 2 months, Russia launched its brutal attack and has moved weapons and equipment to Ukraine. We've moved weapons and equipment to Ukraine in record speed. Thanks to the aid we provided, Russian forces have been forced to retreat from Kyiv. Doesn't mean they're not going to try to come back, but they've retreated thus far. We've sent thousands of anti-armor, anti-missiles, helicopters, drones, grenade launchers, machine guns, rifles, radar systems, more than 50 million rounds of ammunition. The United States alone has provided 10 anti-armor systems for every Russian tank that is in Ukraine, 10 to 1. We're providing Ukraine significant, timely intelligence to help them defend themselves against the Russian onslaught. And we're facilitating a significant flow of weapons and systems to Ukraine from our allies and partners around the world, including tanks, artillery, and other weapons. That support is moving with unprecedented speed. Much of the new equipment we've announced in the past 2 weeks has already gotten to Ukraine, where it can be put to direct use on the battlefield. However, we've almost exhausted what we call, the fancy phrase, the drawdown authority that Congress authorized for Ukraine in a bipartisan spending bill last month. Basically, we're out of money. And so that's why today, in order to sustain Ukraine as it continues to fight, I'm sending Congress a supplemental budget request. It's going to keep weapons and ammunition flowing without interruption to the brave Ukrainian fighters and continue delivering economic and humanitarian assistance to the Ukrainian people. This so-called supplemental funding addresses the needs of the Ukrainian military during the critical weeks and months ahead. And it begins the transition to longer-term security assistance that's going to help Ukraine deter and continue to defend against Russian aggression. This assistance would provide even more artillery, armored vehicles, anti-armored systems, anti-air capabilities that have been used so effectively thus far in the battlefield by the Ukrainian warriors.
So why is he pushing for a war now? Well, because historically Americans are reluctant to change presidents and to change leadership during wartime. And so his numbers are in the toilet because of his ridiculous economic policies, and because he's not in control. I mean, let's face facts. This man is not in control of our country. The special interests are in control of our country. The Bernie Sanders, Green New Deal, AOC, those are the people that are in control of our country. And let's not forget China and their influence in this country. So Biden is getting us into war so that he can hold on to the leadership in the House and in the Senate. And that is, in my opinion, the most dastardly thing that the Washington elite can do. And so you have to recognize this. You have to know this. We have to, as Americans, recognize that we're being played every day. While millions of people are coming through our border, while cost of everything is doubling and tripling, while our shelves are bare, he's sending $33 billion to Ukraine because he wants to make sure that the Dems stay in control in the House and the Senate. So, this is, again, the tail wagging the dog. So I'm going to leave you all. Well, wait a minute. We have some comments. So without Jen, I need some of you as my co-pilots here. Obama's puppet. Absolutely, Lorraine. He is Obama's puppet, but more than that, he's China's puppet. And hopefully we'll get to the end of this Hunter Biden stuff, and we'll actually see some prosecution, but I wouldn't hold my breath. And it wouldn't be a show unless I had a clip from Libs of TikTok. This education and parental rights, all very important in this midterm election, and we know where the left stands on it. They want to rename what women are. Watch this 4th grade teacher. I'm just wondering what she's on. This is just crazy. Watch this.
My kids from last year are now in 5th grade, and they come visit me almost every day after school. And a lot of them are queer because I am queer, and they figured it out, and so I've become their safe space. And today they found my Guess Who, and they started playing Guess Who, but they didn't play it the normal way. How did they play it? They used things like, this person looks like a lesbian baddie who's going to come over and make you dinner. Well, which one of these characters is a lesbian baddie that's gonna come over and make you dinner? Oh, Olivia is? Oh, great. Which character just looks gay? Well, meet Mike. These kids, I'm so happy that they are figuring out who they are and that they're happy with who they are and that they found a safe place. But man, I could never imagine being in 5th grade saying these things out loud, even though I know they're all okay. I grew up super religious where nothing was okay. And so seeing this happen, I'm like, but I'm also like, yay, but
I don't know what she's on, if she's drunk, that woman, 4th grade teacher, she is teaching our children in our American public schools. So, we all need to know what's going on in our lives, in our kids' lives. Lorraine says, I feel so sorry for your parents and family. Yeah. I mean, this is confusing all over the place. So anyway, thank you for spending your rainy Friday afternoon if you're in the Northeast, as we are. Jen and I decided that we are going to change the time of the show to Tuesdays at 7. So not quite prime time, but so this Tuesday at 7, tune in for us, and we will have a look back on this week's news. And catch us on Rumble and subscribe to us on Rumble. If Tuesdays at 7 doesn't work for you, you can always find us at Rumble an hour after the show. Make sure you give us a Rumble. Thank you, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms and even dads who act as moms out there. And God bless everybody. God bless America. And do your homework. I'll talk to you on Tuesday. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, no, Tuesdays at 7, I'm doing food distribution on the street. Well, Kim Salvo, we love you. Thank you for doing that food distribution. And then you can catch us on Rumble. Love you, Lorraine. Love you, Lucille. Love you, ladies and gentlemen. All of you, Arthur Roldan. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And thank you, Brenda Black. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. We are out.